Yo, 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 Auburn family, War Rapport family. It's your boy Mike G here with C Dub and Ike Jones. What's going on, gentlemen? Happy
Yeah,
Wednesday.
ain't
Little
too much.
midweek
Hold on,
hump.
let me get this out of the way. We don't know if T Will got hired.
We,
We don't know what's going
we don't
on.
know.
I know somebody's gonna ask. I don't
Somebody
know.
already did. Somebody
Oh.
already did.
I don't know.
We
Soon
are
as we
waiting
know, I
on
promise
T. Will.
you, everybody gonna know because we gonna be happy about hearing it if it's going in our direction. We gonna be upset if it goes the other way.
True story. True story. I see some people jumping in the chat here. As always, drop where you're watching this from. We would like to know where you guys are at. I see Chris Bozeman in the house. Largwin Taylor. Hope I said that right. But yeah, drop where you guys are from. I kind of wanted to open up tonight with a little bit of a question.
That's true, Alex. Alex says, for those of you who are on Facebook,
Yeah, he said just put "we don't know about T. Will" on the screen. Leave it there.
Name of the title of the show.
So I read an article on 247, the way too early rankings in the SEC, and they have Auburn ranked a lovely ninth behind Missouri and Kentucky. I kind of feel like that ranking
Mississippi.
is fair.
Ole Miss. Ole Miss, right?
Ole Miss too. Ole Miss too.
Ole Miss. Oh, Missouri.
hold on.
Ole
So
Miss.
we got Bama, Texas A&M, Florida, Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU, Kentucky, Missouri, then Auburn.
Then Auburn. That's what they got us, big. Ninth in the SEC. Now, here's how I feel. I feel like that's fair.
Eh.
I feel like that's fair.
Go on.
Yeah, I'll say
Go
I'll let you get your rocks off before I disagree. Go
Go
ahead.
on.
Yeah, right. Kentucky is disputable. Right? I'll dispute Kentucky. But I don't know if there's a huge difference between being ranked 8th or 9th. I mean, either way, they've got us in the bottom half of the conference.
I'll dispute Ole Miss as well, but go ahead.
Okay.
Kentucky is disrespectful.
It is. I mean, we lost our top 3 receivers. You don't feel like
Who does Kentucky have coming back that's so special?
I'm talking about Ole Miss. I'm talking about Ole Miss, though. I told you, I'll give you guys Kentucky. I'm talking about Ole
I'm
Miss.
saying I'm just dealing. Kentucky is disrespectful.
It is a little disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
We lost our top 3 receivers from a team that was terrible at passing, though. So it's not as if we were like some huge passing attack and we lost all of the people we were throwing the ball to.
Yeah, see, you know what? I don't know about this comment.
Yeah, I disagree with that. LSU was bad last year, but mainly because their defense was awful. They scored a bunch of points on a lot of people last year.
Brennan was on fire last year before he got hurt. He was leading the league in passing yards before he got hurt. And then they had a freshman come in and beat Florida. So
Thought we were talking basketball. The basketball game is on right now. No disrespect to the basketball team. This is just our normal time that we go live.
LSU is still.
We probably will sneak some updates about the basketball in there, though.
LSU is still looking for a defensive coordinator. I know the guy they
Muschamp
had
turned him
they
down.
fired.
Muschamp did
turned
turn
him
him down. Yeah.
Muschamp is at Georgia in some capacity.
Is he?
Yeah, they got announced today.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with all the questions that we have, that, you know, again, there's not a big difference between being either way. To me, I think we belong in the back half of the conference.
Okay.
Can we agree on that? If you take out the teams that you guys dispute, what teams would you move out of the way to put us at 7 or 6? Really?
I mean, I'm not going to put us at 6. 7 is where I think it's.
Seven. I have us at 7.
Just smack in the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, like I said, I feel like that's fair.
Mid.
So the other big news is that Jeremy Pruitt has been handing out Happy Meals with money in it to recruits. Here's a Big Mac. Here's $1,000. Come to Tennessee. Right now, I don't think anybody's surprised. I mean, he graduated from the school of Saban, so like I'm not surprised. But what that means for us is a whole hell of a lot of guys are transferring out. I can tell you guys which one I hope we get, because they should be eligible to play immediately. Am I right?
Yeah,
Right?
from the
Yeah.
transfer portal.
Yeah.
That's how the rules go,
I
especially
know
with
the
the COVID year.
NCAA was trying to put a clamp on that, but they
Mhm.
haven't. So as of now, if you enter the portal, you
Boom.
can play immediately.
I want Eric Gray, the
Let's
running
get
back.
Eric
Put
Gray
him-
just entered the portal. The guy who
Mhm.
was running through all
Rough
through our
shot.
defense
Rough
this
shot.
past game. Yes, he just
Mm.
went nuts.
He played well all season. Like he played well against us, but he played well all season.
With
Tennessee
fries.
McDouble.
With
Can I
fries.
get a Tennessee McDouble? That's a good one.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't. Tennessee has. There's a couple of interesting things when we think about the Tennessee situation, right? Like, that's where Big Cat left us to go to, right? Like Big Cat
with
left
that.
us specifically because his former high school coach was working at Tennessee. He's one of the guys that got fired in this whole situation, right? So
Y'all gonna be wilding tonight.
the Hamburglar is their new mascot.
Yep.
Yeah, Smokey entered the transfer portal as well. But so yeah, Big Cat left Auburn to go to Tennessee to play with his former head high school coach, who was let go during this whole situation.
Right.
We don't know what the status of some of the other potential transfers were that were supposed to be leaving.
Correct.
That now have kind of stalled out on that decision. I think that Tennessee thing kind of made them take a little pause as well. Kevin Steele is now the interim head coach at Tennessee after being the interim head coach at Auburn for the bowl game. And, I saw somebody tweet, like, the interesting thing about all of this is the most staple head coaching hire that you could possibly bring in that has knowledge of the SEC right now is Gus Malzahn. And there's no chance Tennessee hires him because they already have the one guy that Gus doesn't want to work with in Kevin Steele. So
Right.
they're screwed right now. They have to just take Kevin Steele and his, I don't even remember if you know what the statistics are on what his coaching record is.
9
Right.
and
Yeah,
37.
it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Oh man, listen. Oh man, we got hats on the way. Right, the merch store is going up. I see every live somebody asks about Ike's hat. We got hats, hoodies, t-shirts, all that stuff on the way. So just watch.
I'm going to tentatively let the cat out of the bag on this. Oh, South Korea.
South Korea. Shout out from
what's
South
up.
Korea. That's
Boom.
what's up.
Yeah.
Hey.
But yeah, we're looking at February 1st to have the merch store live. So you heard it here first. February 1st, we're trying to have the merch store live and ready to go, so you guys can support and copy some War Rapport merch.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we're looking to snag some Tennessee kids. Right. I'm excited about that. That is a gift to Harsin. Listen, if he can get a couple of these 4 or 5-star guys from Tennessee, the portal might be looking real good for us this year. We shore up the running back room because we had some losses, right? Arguably nothing that was going to hurt us too much, but still, if you can fill that backfield with Eric Gray and Tank as a 1-2 punch, all of a sudden we start to look a little bit dangerous. Now, if Bo Nix is still our starter, you take a lot of heat off of him. If you can run that ball, baby, and then work on run blocking, and then maybe we become a good run play action team next year. Right? And that will get these young receivers free. And I'm kind of excited now, fellas. I'm not going to lie.
That's what Mike Bobo likes to do. Like, Mike Bobo is definitely big on the run play action. He wants to dominate. He wants to use the run to set up the pass, which is the exact opposite of what we were doing last year, which is this whole pass to set up the run, even though you have one of the most talented running backs in the SEC playing on your team.
Accurate quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Daniel in the DC metro area. I see you from across the bridge in Arlington. I have not seen Daniel here before, but I'm also in the DC metro area as well.
And that's as far as you can get right now is across the bridge because you're not driving into DC.
Nope. Lots of troops with guns on the other side. Anyway, so it's some exciting stuff happening in recruiting. But fellas, I wanted to take a little time to shift. We've talked about a lot of Auburn news over the last few weeks, and I wanted to shift a little bit towards who we got in the bag, what's left to get in terms of recruiting.
Don't use bag when we talk recruiting. Don't do that. Too soon. All right. No bags.
Touche.
Okay.
All
right.
But we have shockingly no commits from Georgia committed in early signing period. right?
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody has committed from Georgia, and I think we maybe have only 1 or 2 commits in the state of Alabama committed right now. That's crazy. So, I've been trying not to be too hard on Gus, but I gotta tell you, like that's that's not a good job in anything right now. I mean, like, Alabama and Georgia are our main recruiting grounds. Especially
Listen,
Georgia. We usually raid Georgia every year for talent.
Georgia, Florida, Alabama, if we don't have kids from those 3 states, then I don't know what we were doing, especially considering they don't recruit out west. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just don't understand how you're not recruiting your backyard well.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some work to do in state with some of these recruits. So I was a little disappointed at that when I saw that, and that's why I think this. I was arguing with somebody over on the All About Auburn board. Shout out to Devin Dawson, and he was saying, hey, that's not how you build a program. It's not through the portal. And I was just kind of saying, hey, man, that's not how we might have to do it this year.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. There's literally like there's a time to try to go out and number one, it's too late in the day really to make any significant strides. So you got to hit the transfer portal. Sure. You got to go the JUCO route if you want to have a stopgap measure for next season. And that's all we're talking about is, do we want to compete immediately? If so, fill those roster spots with guys who have some experience playing football in college.
Right.
And I think Tennessee has been a ram in the bush because they're losing guys that we can afford to use in some of these positions. We can shore up some depth. So some people are mentioning Dylan Brooks. He was a signee, signed his letter of intent, and he requested a release. And now Tennessee has to grant that release. Now, if the NCAA opens up an investigation, he can just walk, right? But in a time crunch, it depends on whether or not Tennessee will be willing to release him or not. If they do agree to release the kid, I believe he's coming to Auburn.
They are definitely opening up an investigation. So I'm going to tell you that now, right? Based on what
so
I
it's
read.
Just a matter. It's almost kind of a matter of when. Would you agree, guys?
Yeah, I would agree.
But I mean, and where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Like there are too many kids that are abandoning ship right now. They fired the head coach. They fired 2 assistants from the team. Like, if the NCAA doesn't open an investigation, it's only because Tennessee has tried to proactively give themselves a ban, and they're just like, all right, well, you punish your. It's like you get in trouble with your mom and dad, and you just decide, well, I'm gonna go sit in my room and not watch TV. It's like, no, you're still in trouble. Yeah, Thank you.
Right.
And so
we're still in trouble.
And so we're clear. That's not smoke. That's a whole ass campfire. That's a bonfire they got going on there. Right.
There's a gasoline fire.
Yeah, they threw gas on it and everything. So what we have left is we've got a few kids. We got an inside linebacker out of Jessup, Georgia, Trevin Wallace. We're warm on him right now. There's an offensive tackle, Kobe Smith. We're warm on him as well, too. He's out of North Carolina, West End, North Carolina. We are the favorite for Jawan Gaston out of Montgomery, Alabama. He's a 3-star safety. And then there's Jarquez Hunter, right? Which is another running back out of Philadelphia, Mississippi. He's a 3-star, 740th nationally. If he comes in, that will give us a little bit of, and we get this Eric Gray kid. I feel good about running back.
Right.
I feel real good about running back, but areas of need, primarily O-line, running back, and then find another quarterback. Right? We need 3 quarterbacks in that room. So I don't want to wait till 2022 on Gunnar Stockton. I know a lot of people are hot on him, and I just like, right. Can't play because he signed with an agent. Yikes.
I'm hearing different stories on that.
Right, Gray and
I heard he signed with an agent. I heard he didn't sign with an agent. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, but I haven't heard any news on Tutt. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot going on.
We know he's not going to the league. We can tell you that much. Not this year.
Yeah, not this year. I think there's a chance that we could sneak into the top 20. When you transfer, they treat transfers differently, though, in terms of recruiting. Right. So Back in the day, if you were a JUCO, you couldn't even be rated. It's so hard to gain a 4-star on Rivals as a JUCO. It's damn near impossible, right? I'll remind a lot of people. I think it was on Scout. Cam Newton came in as a 3-star from Blinn. So, I mean, I think we all agree he was a little better than a 3-star. So, I'm not putting too much stock in the ratings on the JUCOs. What I'm hoping is that the talent evaluation by this coaching staff is much better than it was by the last coaching staff, right? And then we can move forward. So
That's a fact. They won 3 games. They were cheating and still only won 3 games. But you know, that's what happened. That's why. So more than the cheating, that's why Jeremy Pruitt lost his job. It's like, you gonna cheat and still lose?
Right.
I mean, but he similarly, you know, again, I don't want to turn this into a Gus bashing session, but he hitched his wagon to an ineffective quarterback. Yep. Jared Garantano was not playing well, and he continued to start him. You can't do that when you have a capable guy behind him that can come in and at least be safe with the football. Right. He might not have the athletic ability that Garantano has. He might not have like that big play capability. But what was losing you games was turnovers, and Jared Garantano had those in a McDouble-sized bag, and he was passing them out every game, hot and fresh out the drive-through.
I see a bunch of you mentioning this Cardwell kid out of Cali,
Byron Cardwell.
Yeah.
Caddy offered him last week, I want to say, and I think he's supposed to announce the 25th of this month.
Okay, so that's coming up in 5 days.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, listen, if Harsin has a real shot at doing something special out of this portal, right? And then you get these kids in, I don't know if they would be able to practice in the spring. They would be eligible to practice in the spring. But I think it would be amazing to get some of these kids in, put them through a spring, and then all of a sudden the outlook for Auburn has changed drastically.
Right.
Like our outlook for next season could change drastically. How drastically, I'm not ready to say just yet, because I want to see what this staff does with the talent that they get. But you know, I mean, this is some significant fortune for Harsin coming in. There is Jadarius Perkins, who is a corner, a 3-star corner. He's got an 88 rating out of Perkinston, Mississippi. And then there's Jalen Shepard, who was another corner. I know we had who was it that declared? Was it Sherwood?
Sherwood declared.
Declared.
And Jordan Peters.
Jordan Peters is a senior, so he's out.
Yeah, he opted not to come back.
Yeah,
right.
So McCrary is coming back. Simpson was just a freshman, or either redshirt freshman or true freshman,
something like that. Yeah.
But he's going to be back. So those are likely going to be our outside guys. You're going to have Smoke, who's going to be playing one of the safety spots. Tennyson was playing the star when Tutt got hurt. Tutt's he's still in limbo. I mean, he's not in the transfer portal, whatever. Tutt's likely going to be back as well. So we still have Tennyson that's going to be back in that defensive backfield. So one of those guys is likely going to rotate over to safety, and the other one is still going to play your slot corner.
Right.
And which is great because Tennyson, being a young guy, I think he was a freshman, a true freshman, playing in that position, did pretty well. He got burned a couple of times being out of position, but a lot of that was just like quick change stuff where Tutt got hurt. He had to jump in the game, and he was just like, all right, where am I going now? And in the next play, they picked on him, right? So if you have given him starter reps and you're getting him that kind of stuff in the game leading up, I think he'll be doing a lot better. I think Tutt actually would play better at safety than he did at the slot corner because he's not going to get soloed up as much against slot receivers playing safety. So Tutt transitioning to safety might be a good look for him. He's a sound tackler, and he doesn't have to have blazing speed to keep up with those slot guys. So that could be a good spot for him. But again, way too early to talk about that kind of stuff. Domio is probably still going to be playing, even though I don't know what the situation with him is. He seems like he's a little slower than I anticipated him being. So we'll see what happens with him. Actually, Simpson is kind of slow too. I saw him get burned a couple of times, but anyway, but he plays hard. He's a really aggressive guy. He actually would play better in the slot probably. But McCrary's back, and we've got some other guys on the outside that are going to do well, including some of these young guys. So
I'll be interested to see just what with a new coaching staff. You alluded to Ike. people playing in different positions that they were not playing in last year. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up where on this roster in the upcoming season. So yeah, just to reiterate that, like some of these guys who may have been behind somebody on a corner may actually have an opportunity to start at safety. So we just have to keep it posted.
Let me address a couple.
Right quick. Yes, we have considered Patreon. We're working out some things right now. For now, if you guys want to support us, the GoFundMe link is pinned to the top of the chat. You can also visit that in the post chat comment section as well, or the about section on our YouTube page. So we really appreciate you guys' support for everybody who's been supporting us since we've been blowing up here. So thank you for that comment. Okay,
couple of things. People keep asking about two names in specific at quarterback, and that's Gunnar Stockton, and then I hear people talking about Garnett. I haven't looked at any tape on Garnett. Chanel, I think his name, Chael or something like that.
Something like that.
I haven't looked at enough tape on him to know whether or not he's going to be good, but Gunnar Stockton is not in this year's draft. I mean, this year's recruiting class. He is next year. So it's not that, it's not that anyone's not high on him. It's just that he won't be here next season. He's still in high school. So like we're just not talking about him because he's still a year away. We're just talking about guys who will potentially be on the field in spring.
Right. Yeah. To this comment, again, essentially, Stockton is 2022. We have a whole slate of games we got to play before he gets here.
Yeah.
I think kind of looking at, it seems like, you guys have a real good beat on what's happening in the transfer portal. I know there's a lot of talk right now. I'm just hoping
there's another safety guy right there who can make a name for us. He was a freshman last year and could potentially compete for a spot this upcoming year.
Yeah, listen, if our staff can evaluate and develop, I think that we have a chance to be decent, significantly improved next year.
Guys, I think our defense is going to look really like I'm looking at the guys on defense that we got coming back. We have a chance to actually be really good on defense.
Good, yeah, I'm telling you.
I keep saying this over and over again. I keep saying this over and over again. We're not as bad as people think that we are in returning talent. Like I understand a lot of these kids, you don't know their names, but we've got a ton of talent that's going to be returning. I'll say this again and again. We recruited really well in the Gus Malzahn years. We just didn't use the talent well. That doesn't mean we don't have talent, right? So there are guys who have talent that can be on this team. Where we're thin is in depth at specifically the offensive line, the defensive line, and at the running back. We can debate quarterback depth and all that kind of stuff, whatever. We've got guys who can play quarterback on the team, though. It's about whether or not they're going to be able to produce at a high level. But running back depth is a problem, right? We only have two guys right now in the running back room. So we need one of these transfers to come in because we saw what happened in our running back room last year. Offensive line depth is an issue because once you get past the one deep, it doesn't seem like we have guys across the board. Defensive line depth is an issue. You have to be able to rotate consistently at defensive line to play well into the late game. Now we're going to go from a 4-man rotation to a 3-man rotation because we are switching the front, but still you got to have depth. But that also means your linebacker depth has to be different because you're going to be playing 4 linebackers now. I actually went back and looked at a lot of this is kind of tangential, but I went back and looked at some film. And we actually ran a 4.25 more so than 4.3 a ton last year. Right. Just because that star that Tutt was playing is technically still a linebacker position. It's a hybrid linebacker DB. Right. So he's on the field as a linebacker, but he's really kind of in coverage a lot. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What it is there is that it's depth that we have to build. The front guys, I believe that our ones can go up against anybody. You get past that, we're going to be struggling a little bit.
A little skimpy.
Yeah, I hope so too. Shout out to Auburn Football Highlights. That is his TikTok handle. Please go to his TikTok and check out. He just actually put together a dope highlight video that got me going this afternoon in the middle of my Zoom meeting. So the volume was up and they wanted to know what I was listening to. But shout out to him. Please go check him out. He's a regular of our channel. We cross promote. He's a great guy. So I would say if we can develop right? If we can, these kids, I mean, somebody dropped in the comment here, we have the talent. Now, what are you going to do with it?
Right. Exactly.
what it boils down.
That's the bottom line. Is like, what are you going to do with the guys you have on the team? Can you coach them up?
Exactly. To this, I mean, this is it right here. This comment is
True.
everything. Yeah, you need to be. We're barely one deep at a lot of positions.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And so, to be too deep would be an improvement. But they have a chance to go 3 deep at some of these positions if they can hit the portal and develop. Which brings me, we're at the 25-minute mark here, so I just wanted to have a little story time. Here at the War Rapport,
Let's go.
we aim to bring you guys information.
No, not rumors.
Not
substantiated, firsthand. Anyway, I'll let you tell your story. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Verified.
Yeah. And so having
It's
been
a blue check of information.
having been a former Auburn football video guy, if you're just joining us, you may not know I filmed every game in practice for 4 years. I went to every bowl game. I have watched more football than a human being should be able to watch, and coaches film too, right? So we have an interview series that we're doing called Building Rapport, where we once a week, every Monday, we drop a player interview for you guys. My dog is wilding out right now. And in that interview series, I'll be really move, dog. What's wrong
Yes,
with
his
you?
dog name is Obby. By the way.
Yeah,
Yes,
my
but
dog.
listen, this is an Auburn man right here. You hear me?
My dog's name is Obby. Right? He tripping over the mic wire. Anyway, so we bring you guys an interview series where we talk to former players. Some of them talk to us about what they see in the program. A lot of them are still in football, training kids. They're very plugged in. And so one thing that was not happening during the Malzahn era is that he was not keeping in touch with former players. Almost all of them have told us this, right? They didn't reach out, which is unfortunate because a lot of these guys are actually training high school kids, right? So in a couple weeks, we're going to be dropping an interview. I'll tease it with Courtney Taylor. If you don't know who Courtney Taylor is, please get off our stream.
Or you're too young. I'll say you might be young. You might be young. But if you've been an Auburn fan for 15 plus years, then you ought to know Courtney Taylor.
Yeah, he had a couple catches that are the reason we had an undefeated season in 2004.
Absolutely.
And great guy. So he was very gracious in giving us an interview. And I won't give you guys too much of this because I want you to watch that interview when we drop it. But he's training kids right now. Now, how many, jump in the chat, of you guys know the name Emeka Egbuka? Anybody know that name? I'll just wait for 10 seconds.
Yeah, because there is a slight delay, so we'll see if anybody knows who that is.
Emeka Egbuka, right? So it's been about 10 seconds. Nope. George Matthews doesn't know. That's crazy. Isn't that crazy that we don't know that name? I'm going to blow your mind. He is the #1 wide receiver prospect in the nation in the 2021 class. Emeka Egbuka. And you know who trains him? Courtney Taylor. So during our interview, and we asked Courtney for permission to tell this story, he was very gracious.
We asked him twice.
Yeah. Right. No, he's not at Washington. Well, I'll let Mike tell the story and we'll tell you where he committed.
Yeah.
Unless you're looking it up right now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he's Emeka is going to the Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's committed to Ohio State. But 2 years ago, a former record-holding Auburn wide receiver who is training what is now the #1 prospect in the 2021 class called up Cody Burns and said, Cody, I have this kid. He's going to be the next thing. Cody didn't call him back. He didn't call him back. He couldn't get in contact with him. And by the time he got back to him, it was too late. And
Alan, you skipped a part. He did get back in touch with him. What he responded with is that Auburn doesn't typically recruit the West Coast. So therefore they weren't going to be devoting the resources to go check the kid out. Right.
And so I was blown away by that. I was like, Courtney, are you sure? He was like, Mike, I know that I made the phone call. And I was like, okay. Like, I'm arguing with you. Right. So when we talk about this, why we're so excited, it's funny, right? When we talk about why we're so excited, listen, I'm telling you, when we talk about why we're so excited about the Harsin era and why we have beat development and evaluation over your heads. This story epitomizes that, right? So you had an inroads with a kid through a former Auburn player that does nothing but train kids. He called you about him. All you had to do was just go give him a look, right? Now, we ended, and if you check his offers, we ended up offering him anyway. Mm-hmm. The only problem is that all these other schools had a couple years heads up on us because Coach Byrne didn't.
And what did he tell? What did he tell Courtney Taylor after the fact?
He told him two things. Number one, he put Auburn in his top 50 off the strength of his relationship with Courtney, but he never intended to come here. And number two, they don't throw the ball enough, so he didn't think he was going to get enough targets to even want to come.
Right.
He's not wrong.
Listen, guys, I need to tell you, sir, because I see that people are in the chat saying that they don't know who this kid is. Right. And it's crazy that we don't know who he is because we didn't offer him until it was too late. But they could have started forming a relationship with this guy 2 years ago when he was in the 10th grade.
Right.
Now, arguable whether we would have still got him or not. But the fact was you had an inroad with this kid. I mean, you had an in. Right. His trainer is a former Auburn great. Right. And Courtney, he just said, he's like, man, listen, Mike, they don't, one of the things that Emeka said was, I'm definitely, beside the fact that they're late to the party, they don't throw the ball. I'm not going there. They can't throw the ball. So I'm not going there. And now he's going to Ohio State. So this whole thing, I mean, if there are Gus apologists still in this room, this should kill it for you. Right. And listen, I'm taking some of this off Cody because I just don't think he was ready for the job.
Right.
I don't think he was ready. I think he needed some more mentorship and he needed some more oversight. And if he had told his superiors, hey, Courtney Taylor has this guy, well, they should know who Courtney Taylor is, especially when you got former players training players.
Right.
What a great source of intel. Especially,
there has to be the picture of the LSU game with him making that catch somewhere in the complex. Has to be.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Patrick Peterson was training kids after his football career and he called somebody at LSU up and said, hey, I got this kid. Y'all should take a look at it. You think you might just go take a look at a guy Patrick Peterson was recommending? I was blown away by that. And even more blown away by how plugged in and how in tune Courtney still is with football after his playing career. He would make a great coach. He would make a great wide receiver coach. If you ask me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
While we're hiring former players, Larson, if you're watching, you give Courtney Taylor a call if this dude from Troy doesn't work out. So I was really taken back by that story, fellas, and I thought that it was really symbolic of what we felt like was the dysfunction within the program was. Right. Evaluation and development. Now, if you can't evaluate, then you're picking a lot of the wrong kids, which may explain why these guys.
Appreciate you, Alabama prep.
Yeah,
I can take a joke. I really can. It's okay.
Oh man. So I just thought that our listeners might be interested in that since we got permission to tell that story. Like that, we had a coach who had an
we get on B Will, by the way, Alabama prep.
We will. We definitely will. We had a coach that had an inside track on what ended up being. Go look up his rating on Rivals. If NCAA were still a video game, he'd be a 99. His highlight tape looks ridiculous. I was floored. And hopefully we have an offense where, moving forward, where these kind of guys might want to give us a look at wide receiver. Right. He's guaranteed. Emeka Egbuka, I'm telling you, if he goes to Ohio State, he will be a first-round draft pick. Save this and remember it. Ohio State will make that kid a first-round draft pick. So, all right, I'm really looking forward to this spring because I'm hoping that what we see is that we see a QB competition so that we can get a QB back there that can get the ball to kids like Emeka.
Right.
We have a competent wide receiver coach that teaches these guys how to run routes to the proper depth. Right. And do things more than just goes and slants, and right. Yeah. And then play calling that gets the ball to the playmakers in space. Right. Bobo, one of the things I'm excited about Bobo is that his when he got to South Carolina, they were 126th in red zone offense. His next year, they jumped all the way up to 62nd in the nation in red zone offense. Significant improvement year over year. They were almost dead last in the NCAA in red zone offense. And he was able to produce, to improve their red zone efficiency greatly. Now, he's got a lot more talent to work with coming in at Auburn. And because, if you look at where we've been since 2015, it's all over the place. I think 2017 was our best year in terms of red zone efficiency. Yeah. But I think bane of the Malzahn era was a lot of drives stalling out inside the 20. Whenever
we had good kickers.
He's the leading scorer on the team. Right?
There's a reason for that, because we kick a ton of field goals.
Field goals, right? A lot of drives stall out inside the 20. And if
you're an Auburn fan, didn't have a good kicker,
right? It'd be awful. Right?
What if we had Bama's kicker with that type of an offense?
Well, not the one from this year, because Reichert was good, but I'm just saying, previous years. Yeah.
I tried to find a stat that only gave me touchdowns. Right,
but red zone efficiency is always going to be scores in the red zone.
Scores anyways, right? But without the field goals, it'd be off. We'd be in the bottom half of the NCAA,
and that's something I have to highlight to people who talk about Gus's win record. Right, like first and foremost, he's going to have games every season that he's supposed to win because those teams are awful or way inferior in talent. Right. And he had a ton of games, a whole bunch of them. We can go down the list of games that he had where it was miraculous that the victory actually went in our direction, right? It wasn't because we went out there and dominated teams. So yes, he has a good record, and finding a way to win is important. I want to figure out how to be a dominant football team. And then you pull out games against other good teams. When we faced other good teams, we were getting slaughtered. Right. And we were winning nail biters against teams that were equally matched or lower to us. And that's not the way that's not winning. That's not a winning brand of football. You're supposed to pull out the miraculous stuff either in an upset or, against teams that are, it should be a situation where it's supposed to be an upset, right? Like it shouldn't always be that you're fighting tooth and nail every single game, regardless of the talent that's on the other side, unless they're way inferior and then you're blowing those teams out. That's not that's not winning football, man. And so Gus's record is a little deceiving when you look at that. If you really go down and break down again, stalling out drives and only getting field goals, that's not a winning brand of football. Touchdowns is winning brands of football. Again, the points count, so I can't take it away from him, but we can't act as if he was putting Auburn in the position to be a dominant program. That's just not truth.
Right. Can we talk about this comment for a second?
Go ahead.
Can we talk about this comment for
the Georgia critics who laugh at us for hiring Bobo? I don't answer them at all, but who does anybody want to talk about?
I mean, here at the end of the day, right? Like he's under a different head coach, right? Harsin has his own offensive philosophy that I assume him and Bobo are going to come and scheme up something. So I'm not really that worried about that. What I'm more concerned about is that the quarterbacks that Bobo has had have done well generally, and that
their efficiency has been good.
Right? Yeah, the Aaron Murrays of the world and all those guys he coached. I mean, I would take that. I would take that over what we have currently in terms of quarterback development. So, Georgia fans can laugh. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's going to be a whole new system. It's not going to be 100% what Bobo did at Georgia.
Right.
It's going to be.
We can even look at the South Carolina offense that he ran last year. It wasn't the same as the Georgia offense, right? Like he found what when we're talking about an offensive coordinator putting guys who have the ability to score or do dynamic things with the football in their hands. Go look at Shi Smith in South Carolina last year. He had Shi Smith doing everything he could imagine because he was talented and he wanted to figure out a way to put the ball. Hey, Hawaii, what's up, man? Appreciate
what's going on, man? Hey, Ed, thank you for your service.
Yeah,
absolutely. Saying he's in the Air Force. Thank you for your service. We honor the military at the War Rapport, so we really appreciate that.
Definitely.
Comment.
Indeed.
Which Nico, drop in the comment which island you're on. I lived in Hawaii and my sister was born on Oahu. So
yeah, I lived in Hawaii for a little bit as well. My dad is a retired Marine, so he was stationed down there for a little bit.
Yeah, man.
So,
well, the islands.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're doing well in basketball right now. Just in case anybody's not watching the screen, because I was like,
Yeah, now we're doing all
Yep.
right
Well, yeah,
now.
we're doing all right now. And
Nice.
guys, I'm feeling a
31-16.
lot more optimistic this week than I was last week about Auburn football. I really am. Like this thing with Tennessee. Listen, man, one man's garbage is another man's jewels, right? Like I'm looking at the thing in Tennessee, and I'm like, man, if Harsin could just pluck one or two of these kids out of here,
Yeah.
right? Demetrius Davis turns into something, or Bo Nix wakes the hell up. I'll accept either, right? And then we can
For better QB play, yeah.
shore up that O line, right? And then give these young receivers some time to develop under a new receiver coach, Oahu.
Yeah.
I am all about it. I'm thinking, like, listen, we're going to be ranked somewhere outside the top 25, which usually means we're in championship contention for that season.
Exactly.
Right.
I hate any season we
Right.
come in ranked in the top 10, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like,
We're in
oh,
top
we're
10.
gonna
Just throw it away. Just throw the season away. But it's something about having a chip on our shoulder and a need to prove ourselves.
Right.
We overachieve and excel. Right. Like, just rank us outside of the top 25 every year. Just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Disrespect. You know what? I like the fact that we're the ninth ranked team. I like that. I like that. You should have put us 10th. Right. Like, I just feel like we play better with a chip on our shoulder. So yeah, I agree, Mike. We plug in some guys.
I think these kids are going to have a huge chip on their shoulder next year, because everybody's saying that they're not going to have a shot. The program's in disarray.
Yeah.
Like those kids are going to come in here and they are going to be looking to prove something. And again, I think people are sleeping on how much talent these kids have, man.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Not saying it's the same thing, but it's similar to what Gus walked into after a 3-9 season.
Yeah.
Right.
You just need 1-2 guys who are transferring in who can transform a side of the ball.
Put your system in, get everybody to buy in, right, with the talent that he has, and he could win some games that nobody expects him to win. Now, I'm not calling SEC champions.
Right.
Way
too early to say that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I feel a lot better this week than I did last week about what our season may potentially look like based on what we see this spring, right? I'll be just looking at fundamentals this spring. They're not going to really show you anything in terms of scheme, right? I just want to see competition. I want to see guys flying around the ball, and I want to see a quarterback.
I want to see some depth in some areas.
Yeah, do something special in the spring. So that means a more accurate Bo Nix, but I want to see a lot of Demetrius Davis, man. He should get some serious reps this spring, man. And with the first team, damn it.
Right?
Okay. I think it's going to be an open competition. Like, I just don't
treat
him
like he's the starter out of the gate. Don't treat him like he's the starter.
Well, one of the things I think why you had a lot of guys leave is because they knew that their position wasn't guaranteed anymore, and that they were going to have to prove it. You know what I mean? And I think in a culture where there was favoritism being played, and it's a good possibility you may be riding the bench because there's somebody behind you that may actually be better than you are, I might jump ship too. I mean, So again, if that's true, then I do not see Bo Nix getting the starting job or getting first team reps just because he's been there. No, the best guys should play and will play.
Yeah, I certainly hope we have a spring NOLA.
Of course, it just depends on what happens over the next couple of months with COVID and the pandemic stuff. They're talking about a new strain. I'm not here to be, this isn't CNN, so I'm not really like trying to talk about all of that. But yeah, we definitely hope we do. I don't see a reason why we can't have a spring and we had a whole football season though. So
yeah, we need the spring. We need the spring though. Like we do. Like a lot. Some teams suffered more last year from not having a spring than others. Right, we were one of those teams. So this season, we need a spring badly. Right. Yeah. So I'm hoping that is trust the process. I just want to know what the process is. Right. I think that we're going to find that out this spring.
We will.
And that's the old man from Bubba and the Old Man. Shout out to them. I love watching their channel because they're so. Yeah.
Is that who that is? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together, but that makes sense.
Yeah, he's the other half of Bubba and the Old Man, right? Okay, cool things. I just think we've got some interesting times ahead in recruiting. So we've got just a couple weeks until National Signing Day, and they've got work to do. Who's going to be coaching outside linebackers is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered here. Okay. What do you think about this one?
TD Moultrie.
Yeah, he's moving back to his natural position. I know you triggered.
So okay, so
give him. Listen, I'm gonna say give him a chance.
Listen,
Agreed.
give everybody a shot. My only issue with TD Moultrie is that the kid can't stay on sides to save his life.
Well, if he's at inside linebacker, I don't know if that's an issue anymore.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. If they move him back to the inside, he's a big kid. He's quick.
Shout out Steve King.
He wasn't particularly good in coverage the times that they tried to drop him back. So like covering a running back out of the backfield, I think it's going to be a mismatch for him. That's the same issue that Davis used to have back when he was here. That's the same issue KJ Britt had. They're just not good in space covering run. Yeah,
right.
And so if he can be that plug the gap guy, read which side or whatever to fill that's so again, because we're going to a different scheme and the guys up front are going to be two gapping. It's not just I'm responsible for the A gap. I actually have to read this like a running back and figure out which hole he's supposed to pick as a linebacker now and go fill that aggressively. It's a little bit different than just saying, okay, my responsibility is the A gap. I'm just going to aggressively downhill against the A gap, which what Britt was really good at. It's just understanding and going, read, react.
Now that does make me concerned because again, one of the things that we complain about with TD Moultrie, a lot of talent and ability, the mental game, the mental aspect,
and that's where I'm going with all of this.
The mental aspect was lacking.
He just had lapses continually, but it showed in little things, just like jumping off sides routinely, or getting a face mask penalty at an inopportune time.
Right.
All the talent in the world. I was super high on TD Moultrie when he was a sophomore coming in playing because I liked the tenacity he came off the edge with. I just don't think mentally he ever took the next step. So. We'll see. You told me not to get triggered, and that's exactly what I did.
Shout out Steve King for the super chat. Steve's here every week. Steve, 9-3, I think is SEC Coach of the Year. Honestly,
indeed.
If one of those wins is Bama or Georgia, SEC Coach of the Year. Indeed. Right. I think everybody would call that a success. So 100% agree there. We all hope that T Will comes back. If you're watching us for the first time, we're big T Will fans. So, we want him back in the fold. I do want to treat everybody like it's year one. Damn right. New coach, right? The only person I think that spot is solidified, it should be Tank, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There's some guys up front in the offensive line that I think are really good. But literally, like wide receivers, none of those kids really played last year. So all of you guys have to go out there and compete because you don't really have enough tape to put on in the SEC game to say I deserve to start. Defensive backfield, there's some guys like
maybe Smoke,
Roger McCreary, Smoke are probably shoe-ins to play. I don't know how you don't start McClain at linebacker when he was one of the leaders in the country in tackles last year.
Right.
Along with Owen Papo, like those two guys are probably going to be guaranteed to start. But outside of those names that I just gave you, I think everybody is fighting for a significant amount of snaps next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like it. That means guys are going to be actually playing with some stake in the game, and they, I just like that you're going to have competition all over the place. That means those guys are going to be the guys who are going to be on the field are going to be ready.
Right, War Eagle Phil in the chat. Phil's with us every week. We really appreciate
Phil makes a lot of comments even after the stuff is posted, so we appreciate him being active on the channel. This is a fact. He doesn't stand tall in the pocket ever.
No, he doesn't. He rolls out to his right.
Right.
We're gonna have a roll out to the right counter for you guys at halftime of every game next season if both are starters.
If he start, right, we'll do. We actually may do a segment called the over and under.
Yep.
With Bo Nix rolling out to the right.
For sure. So we've got some things going on here that I think are encouraging. Again, like I said,
they said Arkansas is hanging in there. The score is 41-28 right now. So
yeah. I would say again, if you're watching this for the first time, you guys on.
Anders Carlson, yes, is likely going to be our starting kicker. They were naming people who will likely start. Anders is, it's pretty much assured he's going to be.
Right. When nobody's doubting his talent.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
So I'm the pessimist of the four of us, right? In terms of if we're going to be as good as we want us to be. Right. And we're not down on Auburn. Like we hope whenever I make a prediction that we're not going to be great, I want to be wrong, but I can only say what I see is there.
Right.
And in talking to a lot of these former players, it was interesting that, these football minds, these guys who have done it, they see the same things that we do in terms of, deficiencies and underdevelopment and some of these things. Right. So with a little bit of coaching, though, and the right system and a guy who knows how to push the right buttons, I really do believe that this team is on the brink of being in that top 4 or 5 in the SEC. Now, it's the SEC West, right? So there's a lot of dog eat dog, right? Like, I mean, our side of the conference just chews you up and spits you out.
Yeah.
If you're not bringing your best. I mean,
right.
Look what happened. Everyone was down on LSU, except for me. I was the only one that was just like, I think LSU was a little better. But they went out and they had a game and they knocked off Florida, right? A game that likely knocked them out of contention for anything national title related, because that is our conference, right? They slept on them, thinking that it was going to be a battle in the SEC championship versus Alabama. They played that game valiantly, by the way. Right, and lost by how many points? 6 points, maybe. It was closer than that, wasn't it? I mean, it was a close game. It was less than a touchdown.
It was one score.
Right, and so, but they got by a 5-5 team in our conference, loaded with talent, and that's where you're at every week in the SEC. So Auburn has all those same trials going into 2021. But I really think, stressing that if you can find a consistent quarterback, not necessarily great. I don't think that we need Bo to be the next coming of anybody great, right? We just need him to be consistent, a consistent game manager, I think, because I saw a comment earlier and they were just like, what if Bobo turns, Bo into Aaron Murray? I think that would be amazing. Maybe he can do that. I'm rooting for Bo.
Right.
Like, I want everybody to understand that I am rooting for Bo Nix to be the best quarterback he can be, because that's going to make Auburn the best team we can be if he is the starting quarterback. Great. But if he is not going to turn into that player, I'm rooting for his ass to be on the bench.
And so, and that's the thing. It's like I can only go off of what I've seen on the field, and what I've seen, I don't like so much. He's an amazing athlete. He can make some really big plays for you. Like, there are plays that he made this season that probably only a handful of people at the quarterback position could make, right?
Right.
But I don't need you to only make those plays. I need you to make all of the other 50 that you're missing too, right? Like, you can't just give me the amazing moments. You have to give me the consistent wide open throws as well, right? And that's the thing that frustrates me about Bo Nix. Right.
We've got to, it's not going to be long before we're bringing you guys some quarterback interviews. I won't spoil that, but we do have some quarterbacks that will be coming on to talk to you guys about development, and whoever, not just Bo, but whoever is going to start at quarterback going into next season. We're going to be doing some things with film breakdowns. We've got some exciting content planned for you guys through the spring, and in the summer, we still will be bringing content. So we're with you until 2021 season kicks off. You're not getting rid of us every week, every Wednesday and Sunday until the season starts.
43-31 at the half right now. Auburn is leading against Arkansas.
I do want to address this one right here. Yes, I do have concerns about the depth, but we do have talent. I think we got Dre Butler. We got what's the kid? He impressed me this year. 25.
Wooden.
Colby Wooden. You got Walker.
Zacavius Walker.
Zacavius Walker. Like, we got some guys who came
And
on
if
strong.
Handy doesn't actually end up transferring, he was a good guy up front.
Listen, if he wants to jump off that cliff into the frying pan, be my guest if you want to go to Tennessee.
Right.
But
Lee Hunter, the guy that
Lee
just
Hunter's
signed with
coming
us.
in.
Yeah.
So we got talent. It's just the experience is not as strong. But I think we got talent there. I really do.
Yeah, I would not disagree with that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh man,
don't think
That was a good one, though.
That's a good guess, but
That's a good guess.
That is funny. I think that we've got some. We've got.
I'm gonna ruin it. It's Kyle Frazier, guys, but no.
Oh man, Kyle! Yikes! I heard that name in a minute. A long list of guys that we've ruined their quarterback, fellas. Long list of guys. And so, yeah, we're going to be on the upswing here. I think that Auburn is not going to be as bad as a lot of people think that they're going to be. I honestly don't. I think we're where we should be given how everything finished, but I don't think that's where we're going to end up going into next season because the talent cupboards just aren't bare. I just think it's untapped and it's underdeveloped. If Harsin, you can do a lot in the spring. You can do a lot in the spring with guys who played the previous year, putting in new systems. And then, what we're hearing from former players is that we've asked every single one, if you want to be great and you want to take it upon yourself, hey, Nathan, what's going on? O-line, agree with this comment 100%, right? We've interviewed 2 O-linemen. So if you haven't seen those interviews, I highly suggest you go look at them. King Dunlap and Ben Grubbs, both those guys played for 9 years in the NFL and told us about what it takes to be a dog at offensive line. Right. Ben told a story about during practice about King and that, King wasn't holding his weight at the time. So he whooped his ass. King disputes the ass whooping, but acknowledges that he needed to be held accountable, right? And that he wasn't pulling his weight and that he needed to grow up. And that kind of accountability within the program, which is why we're doing these interviews, is something that I think was missing from our locker room. Instead, what we're seeing our number one wide receiver bark at our quarterback on the sideline.
Right.
Not accountability, bickering, infighting, right? I mean, and that's a leadership issue, man. They were not doing it in practice. So we talked about it on our last live, but I want to address it one more time because when we interviewed Courtney, he was just flabbergasted at the fact that Gus may not have been running 1v1s in practice. Now, if you aren't a football guy or you haven't heard this term before, what we mean is ones versus ones. First team offense versus first team defense. Now, if you follow Auburn football, you'll remember there was a time where he said it in an interview that the defense was destroying the offense in practice. So he stopped running ones versus ones. Now, I can imagine when you're trying to install something, if you're just trying to walk through it, I get that. Right. But not practicing the best on offense versus the best on defense is a significant development issue. It is a significant development issue. And I'm hoping that Harsin will fix that because these players that we're interviewing are saying that those were all times where they had significant moments that changed their playing careers. That one time I went up against King Dunlap and he beat me senseless. Right. But nobody on Saturday was going to beat me harder than King beat me in practice. Right. And when you talk to Harsin, you get this feeling that he's that kind of guy. Right. That's what I get from him.
Which Harsin, we would love to talk to you, just putting that out there again.
By the way, if you're watching this and you want Harsin to come on the War Rapport and we ask him questions that you feel needs to be asked, go ahead and tweet at Harsin and tag the War Report on it and just put pressure on him. Put pressure on
him. We've got some advocates because of all the former connections to the program. But I would say I hope that he's bringing that back. Drag racing career aside, I think that he's got inside. He's got that thing, man. He's got it. And if he can just transfer that attitude to the players and they take on the persona of what we think this coach is, just the attitude shift these players are telling us can be enough to propel a team to greatness, right? Because it's a lot more. I had a guy arguing with me. I want to get your thoughts on this, Ike, right? I posted in the All About Auburn board about our red zone efficiency under Bobo. And I was just asked a question. I was like, is anybody else hoping that Bobo's going to, improve our red zone efficiency? And this guy came on and he was just like, what, you expect to be number one every year? And I was like, where in my comment did I say that? I'm just saying I'm looking for some consistency. But if you're implying that what we were getting was okay, then I definitely disagree with that. And I don't think that anybody has an expectation that we're going to be number one in the conference and everything at all, right? And so another guy came on and he commented that it's not all on coaching. Players have to execute.
Agreeing again? No, I haven't heard anything that I disagree with.
Now, what I said to him, I was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a duh kind of statement. Yes, of course, no matter what you're running, players have to execute. But it is also paramount that coaching, right, schemes around your players' strengths to put them in the best position to execute. So let's not pretend like you can just call any play and as long as they execute, it's going to work.
Correct.
That is a false statement, right? Because there's a guy on the other side of the field scheming against what you're doing. And you can execute it right, but he can call a perfect defense against it. Right? So play calling and scheming matters a bunch. Execution is only half of the coin.
Correct. And I could understand if we were in the red zone a bunch during the Gus Malzahn era and we just had poor execution and that was the reason for our red zone inefficiency. It was a lot of really, like, this, again, this isn't something new that we came up with. Like, you can hear people talking about this on broadcast when they're watching Auburn. It's like they're good from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line, but as soon as you get into the red zone, it slows up just because the style of play that they have isn't good for sure. Like, it works well, which is, Gus admits this himself. He likes the big plays. He wants 20, 30-yard plays. He wants those chunk plays to happen. That's how he scores in his offense. It's not really built unless you have the Cam Newton type of quarterback that can get the short yardage stuff. It's not really built to do that sort of thing. It's built to score off of big plays.
Agreed.
So that's not even that. We didn't make that up. Gus says that himself. So I don't know, like, debate something that makes sense. Like, if you're going to have an argument, like, don't go against what the coach himself said about his own offense.
Right. Yeah. It just
and again, I mean, we watched the national championship game last week, right?
I agree, old man. You need fight to practice, David. Talk to Ben.
We saw Alabama draw up stuff in the red zone. We saw the receiver running routes and doing things that we've never seen in our offense, right? And so when we get in the red zone, it's either we try to throw it to Seth on a fade route, or it's usually something that defenses see coming. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we've been so inefficient is that the imagination of the offense has just gone out of the window. You know what I mean? When we get in the red zone. And it's easy to draw up stuff when you got 40, 50 yards in front of you. But when you got 10 yards to get, it's first and goal, second and goal. You got to be creative. And that was one of the things Gus has lacked, his creativity. So if you're bringing on a new offensive staff with Bobo who can scheme some things and do some things in the red zone, we have to be able to improve our efficiency. It doesn't have anything to do with us being number one. But yeah, I feel like we should be a bit more efficient in the red zone and get 6 instead of 3.
Right. Christian Lazenby, hope I said that right. 100% agree. I haven't seen you comment before, Christian, but thank you for being on here. This is what the players are telling us, right? The reps, going out there and getting the reps and doing it over and over and over again, right? Like, I read a quote one place that said good players practice until they get it right, and great players practice until they can't get it wrong. Yeah. Right. And then you go out there and that's what they talk about when they talk about getting the reps, and then going against the best in practice. Right. And it doesn't matter because you will never, ever, ever. Right. Practice is supposed to be 5 times harder than anything you ever do in the game. And when you have those dogs on your team, you use that competition, right, to beat them up in practice so that it's easy for them come Saturday.
Right.
Greatness breeds greatness. Right. Use it. We were missing that. And I'm hoping Harsin is going to bring that in. Right. So especially when you've got all these new guys coming in through this portal that are going to have to compete for jobs. You know, and create a culture where these players hold each other accountable, and the whole Auburn family thing has to mean something. Damn it,
right?
That can't be just something that we say.
Right.
I remember back in the day, recruits would always say on their recruiting trips, "It feels like family. This feels like home." And it seemed like lately we had stopped hearing that. But that's about culture. Internal culture, right? Which is why it was probably time for a change. 8 years is a long time to be at any one place, right? Unless you win a championship and
be mediocre,
right? And be mediocre. Like you can be there for a long time if you're winning, or you're.
Saban's been at Alabama a long time, but you know it's.
Nathan, this comment about 4 and 5 star talent, right? Like I just think if you're evaluating well, stars aren't really that big a deal. There are some kids who just do transcend. I will acknowledge that. But the bigger issue is, what do you do when you get the talent? Because we've ruined plenty of 5-star kids.
Right.
Right. So, hopefully Friend is going to be better at developing O-line talent than the last guy that kind of got us in this mess. Lack of development is why we're at where we're at with our O-line. We're one deep. We're one injury away from our O-line being a mess. From having to shift a bunch of guys around playing outside of their natural position, right? It was funny. So we had a string of left tackles back in the day. We interviewed 2 of them, right? It was, I'll take that back. Ben played guard, right? But, King told a story because he was backing up Marcus McNeil. And if you remember, Marcus was a first-round draft pick. And the coaches used to beat King up in practice saying, you have to be ready, you have to be ready. And then during our undefeated season, Marcus got hurt, and guess who had to go in the game? And there was very little drop-off from one draft pick to another draft pick, right? And Ben talked about playing next to both of them.
Right.
Now, if you know anything about offensive line, you know that the left tackle is widely considered to be the most important position on that line.
Blind side.
He protects the blind side of the quarterback. So if you have a bad left tackle, your quarterback's going to get killed a lot.
Yeah, because the best speed rusher typically, or pass rusher, is typically going to be coming off of that side as well. Yeah. So it's going to be the best on best when it comes to pass protection.
Right. So having a guy ready at that position, we should be 3 deep at left tackle at all times.
Right.
Right, 2 deep at the very least, but you need a guy who can step in there and do the job, and then when it comes to evaluation, remember Ben was a first-round draft pick, but he started his high school career on defense. They moved him to tight end, saw that he was good at blocking, and then they moved him to guard, and he played 9 years in the NFL at that position. And tell me that we were evaluating players like that under Gus. We weren't.
Right.
Well, there weren't a whole lot of guys. I know Noah switched from a wide receiver. And that worked out for him, right? But that's on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know. Show me on offense where somebody successfully changed positions and then had a great NFL career.
Did Prince?
Someone got recruited
because Prince Tawanogo, I think he was recruited as a. He could have played defense or
defensive end,
and he ended up playing offensive line for us. That's probably the best one that I'm going to be able to come up with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, development matters, man. This is all about development. So I get it. You guys, everybody, we get so disillusioned by stars. 4-star this, 5-star that. But if you don't have a program that can develop, it just doesn't matter. I'm not going to spend any time really just praising Bama on this, but I think that's what Saban does better than recruiting is he develops. His 5 stars are guaranteed almost to leave 1st or 2nd round draft picks because they develop. They don't fizzle out. They don't transfer. I mean, all their highly rated recruits just somehow turn into draft picks. That doesn't
Well,
happen on its own.
I think it's a combination of things, right? Like they do a really great job of evaluating talent, right? Just because all 5-stars are not made equally, so they're going to get the first pick of like the best ones out there. But then the second part of that is the guys who they do get that are 4-3 stars.
There you go.
End up playing like 5 stars before they leave there because
they see something
developed.
in that kid. They see something special in that kid. They add a few more elements to his game, and the kid takes off.
5 stars in their system are ready to play immediately. 3 and 4 stars sit on the bench and bide their time, and eventually play like 5 stars in their junior and senior years.
Correct.
Right?
Hello, Mac Jones.
You know,
this pretty much sums it up right here.
Oh, I was going to say I was going to this and then it changed, but
Hold on. Let me.
That's it.
This is it. This sums it up right here. You got it, Christian. You got it.
Exactly. Perfect analogy.
You got it.
Listen, you're welcome back. You're invited to the cookout for this. Bring potatoes out.
For those who might just be listening to this later, development is like cooking. Just because you have $100 filet mignon doesn't mean that it's going to be worth $100 when a bad chef puts it on your plate. Same thing goes in football and 5-star recruits.
Yeah. I said I wanted my steak medium, and you brought it well done. Right? A bad chef can ruin the steak or the fish or whatever it is. Right?
Doesn't matter how good the cut is before you bring it to the chef. The chef's got to make sure that it's prepped properly before it hits the plate.
That's right. Coach Harsin, if you're listening, that's you. You're the chef. Cook the damn steak right. So we're
or be willing to send it back, because that's what we haven't been doing. Is like we got the steak out there on the plate. And we just eating it like
we just chewing on that for like
chewing on tires out here on the plate.
Oh man! So there are some things coming here that I think that we have to be excited about. We're gonna have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. We're approaching the 75-minute mark, so we're getting ready to close this out. But I did want to get to some of these comments before we go. I hope Percy. I hope this is something that we solve. Right, predictability. Right, I hope we're less predictable, kind of moving forward here.
I saw somebody commenting earlier that said Bama was predictable, and that's you're thinking about Bama
of old.
Yeah, that's Bama from like 5-6 years ago.
That was 3 yards in a cloud of dust with
that's not their offense is not predictable anymore. If it were predictable and they're still just blowing by everybody, then we all need to do better. It's just not a fact. That's not a factual statement that Bama's predictable anymore on offense.
But to Josh's point, this is about evaluation. Remember Carlton Rogers was a 3-star coming out. T-Rob recruited him.
Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis, right? And he just shut down Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
You're right. Like he shut him down. I think he held him catchless. Right? That was a 3-star. That's why I'm not disillusioned by stars. It's about development. We had coaches that knew what to do with a 3-star that's now killing it in the NFL right now.
Things we don't want to hear, Harsin.
Y'all go on out of practice. I'm gonna stay here where it's cool. Oh, because he's from Boise. I got you.
Yeah.
He spent some time in the South before. He knows what's up. He was at Texas for a little while. He was at Arkansas State for a little while. He knows how this Southern heat gets to you.
We just have to get back to a place where things are consistent. Consistency is what really breeds greatness, I think.
Lawrence is the guy who is arguing that predictability is not something that Bama. He's saying that's a false statement. I challenge that assertion that Bama is a predictable offense. Let's go through the last couple of years of Alabama's offense and show me where it's super predictable.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think they just execute so well.
They execute really well, but like if you're telling me that you can predict what they're going to call, then you're really good at analyzing what they have as far as what they're putting out there for their formations and stuff like that. Defenses haven't been able to predict it. If they were predicting it, they're guessing wrong a lot. So
as Auburn fans, we can show you a predictable offense. It wasn't Bama.
Yeah, I can predict that you can't stop them, right? Like, I mean,
right.
But you know what? I would argue that our 2010 Auburn offense was predictable.
You're confusing predictability
with consistency. Our 2013 offense was predictable.
We're not saying that Bama's not consistently good. Yes, you can predict that they're going to be good. We're talking about you being able to say they're going to run this play in this scenario. That's
Right.
predictability that we're speaking of, and that's not what you're seeing from Bama's offense. So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, listen, our 2010 offense was predictable. We were just better than everybody,
Right.
right? And we had Cam, so it was just like people knew what we were going to run. They just couldn't stop it.
Right.
I
And
knew
that
what we
was
were going to run.
and this is before they changed the rules and let in substitutions and all that kind
Right.
of stuff. So it was a lot easier for us with tempo to be able to do certain things. And also, again, that Gus offense, though it's predictable, works a lot differently when you have Cam Newton at quarterback.
The drag race jokes will never get old. I read a whole article on AL.com about his drag racing career yesterday. Like Tom Green wrote a whole nother article about drag. They loved his drag racing. I don't get it, but whatever.
I'm surprised you're right. I'd rather go play in traffic, Mike.
I'm like, they really won't let this go. Yeah, I would agree with that statement. Do you have a position group highlighted that you expect to be the best unit? Actually, check out our segment on Friday.
Friday. Yeah, we'll be talking about that Friday. We already recorded it, so we're just gonna post it up on Friday. It's not a live, but
Right.
Friday. If you guys don't know, our schedule goes Sunday and Wednesday are our live sessions. So we are live Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. We are live Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
And then we drop our building report segments on Mondays and our Facts or Not segments on Friday. So that's kind of our off-season schedule right now. We have some other one-offs that we're probably going to be doing later on during the summer after we get past National Signing Day and we can have a better idea of what Auburn's going to be looking like from a talent standpoint. But
Right.
as far as regularly scheduled things, that's our lineup. So Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can expect some sort of content coming out here from the channel.
Like clockwork, baby. What are our biggest concerns for the year? I can tell you mine. Bo Nix's dad. Bo Nix's footwork. Bo Nix's throwing motion. Those are my concerns for next year. You go.
O-line.
Yeah, offensive line for
O-line.
me.
Yeah, O-line.
Yeah.
O-line and D-line for that matter. But mostly O-line.
So it's gonna be interesting. I think we got a lot of concerns, to be honest.
Yes, the game is now down to a 5 point thing coming out here in the second
yes,
half.
it is.
Listen,
All
right.
Arkansas is good, so they're not going to just go away just because you get them down. And Auburn, I've been talking about this more so offline. Auburn's they're young and they don't really know how to close out games right now, right? And we're not. Without what's the kid's name that's right now? Without Powell out there, we don't have a consistent guy from the outside that stretches the defense. I think once you see Powell get back into the offense along with Sharif Cooper, we're going to have a better balance on offense just because they're going to have to respect the ability for us to stretch that corner. So Sharif Cooper's going to have more room to operate. He's already got great floor vision. Just give him more space, and he's going to be super dynamic. And he needs to learn to knock the jumper down a little bit better. But anyway, I don't want to get into a bunch of basketball analysis right now. But we can talk about it.
Well, Caesar, you have anything else before we sign off here? I'm going to give some housekeeping here at the end.
Yeah, I do, man. I appreciate y'all's comments, man. Like it's a blessing for us to not be able to get to all of the comments. There was a time where we could get to all of them because it was just 5 of them.
Oh man!
But now, man, y'all are showing up, showing out. We loving y'all in the comments. Continue to comment even after this live goes off because we do like to converse with you guys and talk with y'all. We do respond to posts. We do like to keep up the banner because we're trying to build community, man. A War Rapport is a family within the Auburn family. So, yeah, if you got questions, you got things you want to post, man, continue to post it after the live so we can get back to you guys and keep the conversation going.
Yes, absolutely. We are in the comments. Listen, a lot of you have been asking how you can support us. That GoFundMe is pinned to the top of the chat and also pinned to the top of the after the live comments, as well as the about section. So if you'd like to support us as we grow our content and bring more of this to you, please hit that GoFundMe. As always, we are the War Rapport. If you want to support us, please hit like and subscribe on YouTube. This is the best way to support us. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We are the War Rapport on Twitter and Instagram. We're active within those forums. TW Rapport on TikTok. Gentlemen, We're signing off as always. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.